What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How are you doing out there? Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode over here at Pepe's Point of View. I am your host, your R&B historian, Pepe. Welcome you new viewers, you returning viewers, and you subscribers. Thank you guys so much for your love and your support. I appreciate it, and I hope you feel it right back at you. Oh, well, today you're in for a treat. That's right. I've talked about him before, but I talked about him regarding the R&B divas he worked with in the past, and I rank them. Okay. Pleasantly surprised to know that, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Cassandra Wilson who ended up being my top pick. She recorded a song with him called "I'm Only Human," and I have to admit I love it. Yes, I was surprised Cassandra Wilson beat out all of those other divas, but it is what it is. It's Pepe's point of view over here, right? Yeah, so you probably have your favorite R&B diva that Luther Vandross worked with, but hey, I have mine, and I was surprised, as I said uh, previously, that it was Cassandra Mills, or it is Cassandra Mills. So hats off to Cassandra Mills for being my number one R&B diva that he worked with. But I guess I could call her a diva because she's actually jazz, right? I think Cassandra Mills is a jazz singer. But anywho, we're talking about Luther Vandross over here. And we are talking about his album, The Night I Fell in Love, the 1985 album, The Night I Fell in Love. Actually, Luther Vandross has been on my list of things that I wanted to do or to talk about over here on the channel. And so I, said, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to talk about? So I went down my list of things that I wrote down that I wanted to do. And Luther Vandross was one of the ones that had, stood out to me. I actually had, did this review before. I just never uploaded the video. I never did my, my little commentary on it. You understand what I'm saying? But anyway, it is what it is. Talking about the album, The Night I Fell in Love. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but I want to do the regular smuggler over here when it comes to Luther Vandross, meaning that I want to talk a little bit about his background. Now, I usually don't do that because I just like to dive right into what it is that I want to do. I have my own way of doing things over here. But and let you guys, my intentions is to my intentions is for you guys to go out and learn about these artists yourselves. But anyway, Luther Ranzoni, Luther Ranzoni Vandross Jr. was born on April the 20th, 1951 at Bellevue Hospital in the Kips Bay neighborhood of Manhattan, New York. Just the fact that he was born in Manhattan, New York says a lot, okay? I would like to think that he came from, humble beginnings, even though his father, if I'm not mistaken, was I think his father's the one that was a singer. He was an upholsterer and a singer, and his mother was a nurse. But he was, of course, raised in the Alfred E. Smith housing development project or housing development. And of course, at the age of 3, we know that the story goes that he was able to have his own phonograph. And then Luther taught himself how to play a piano by ear. But just the fact alone that he was raised in Manhattan, Kips Bay neighborhood of Manhattan, says a lot to me. It does, simply because Luther Vandross has an exquisite taste. Just in song, in presentation, just all kinds of things. And Manhattan, New York, definitely was a center of, a cultural revolution. For those historians out there, Manhattan was the home of the Harlem Renaissance, wasn't it? And that just says a lot, for me, about the fact of what was going on at the time, as far as the culture and everything is concerned. So what do we know about Manhattan? Well, Manhattan is the borough most closely associated with New York City by non-residents. Residents from the New York City metropolitan area, including New York City's boroughs outside of Manhattan. All right. Now, Manhattan has been the scene of many important global and American cultural movements. As I said, the Harlem Renaissance in the 1920s established African American literature canon in the United States and introduced writers such as Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston. Manhattan's visual art scene in the 1950s and 1960s was the center of the pop art movement, which gave birth to such giants as Jasper Johns and Roy Lichtenstein. Okay. And of course, the downtown pop art movement of the late 1970s included artists such as Andy Warhol. All right. So just in general, when you think about that alone, you go like, wow, Luther Vandross was closely uh, associated with these things. I'm just talking about it. A lot of towns, when I say cities or states, have their cultural part. Like even where I'm from, it's known as a literary town, right? And so, there's a lot of writers that comes through here. You see what I'm saying? And so, but it just says something about, for me, Luther Vandross's upbringing, because, of course, in the Upper West Side of Manhattan, right, you have Lincoln Square, Metropolitan Opera, the New York Philharmonic, the New York City Ballet, on and on, Juilliard School, jazz at Lincoln Center. So, like I said, you have all of these things when it comes to Manhattan. And that's why I said I wanted to do the regular smuggler over here when it came to Luther Vandross, because I'm like, that's interesting to know about him, right? Well, it also says here that his father died of diabetes when Luther was 8 years old. And of course, we know that song, his last album, the song Dance With My Father, was a song that was wrote, to dedicate to his father and his childhood memories, and his mother's recollections of the family singing and dancing in the home, right? His family moved to the Bronx when he was 9. His sister Patricia and Anne began taking Vandross to the Apollo Theater. There you go. And to the theater in Brooklyn to see Dionne Warwick and Aretha Franklin. Okay. So Luther Vandross went head on to go to graduate from William Howard Taft High School in 1969. And of course, he had a brief stint in college at Western Michigan University for 1.5 semesters before dropping out to pursue a career in music. I mean, the brother, I wonder what that looks like. It had to definitely be promising, as well as, what's the word I'm looking for? Promising, and he definitely have had to have the support, and I would like to think the Luther Vandross that we've come to know now definitely had the goods back then. I was looking at, some music, and of course, just looking at some different things. And I was so amazed. Isn't that interesting? I'm saying the word so amazed, and Luther Vandross has a song called So Amazing. But I was amazed to find out that Luther Vandross actually contributed to the songs on The Wiz. If I'm not mistaken, I think he did. I think he did the song Everybody Rejoice. It's a brand new day. That's Luther Vandross. You see what I'm saying? So the man is he's the it to me. He definitely is, because The Wiz, if I'm not mistaken, the actual movie came out, of course, in the 1970s? was it the 1970s? Yeah, I think it was the mid 1970s, right? Maybe 1974, 1975 is when the Wiz came out. And so for Vandross to even be somehow associated with the Wiz, you understand what I'm saying? Like that lets you know that, I mean, he definitely has some heavy connections. Speaking of which, these heavy connections, when he got the opportunity to produce his debut album, Never Too Much, from my understanding, was is that he called upon those session singers and session musicians to support him in putting the album together. You know, he was just basically like, "Hey, you guys, I need your help over here with, you know, this album that I'm producing, so on and so forth. And look what we have today." You know, I mean, that record, Never Too Much, is definitely one when you play it, it's definitely going to get people moving. You know, Never Too Much can get a party started for me. That's all I can say. It's a great song. But anyway, we're here talking about The Night I Fell in Love. Why The Night I Fell in Love? Well, it's simple. The Night I Fell in Love, that album released in 1985, is my favorite album by Luther Vandross, hands down. Now, I have to admit that I have not heard a full album by Luther Vandross after 1988, Any Love. I think I've heard a parts of Power of Love that was released in 1991, but that's when Luther Vandross lost me. Okay, it's just my opinion, my point of view is that Luther Vandross, when he got after 1988, around 1989 or so, I think Luther Vandross was definitely putting his eye on the prize, so to speak. Okay, it's just my opinion is that I think he wanted the Grammy. All right, and getting the Grammy, I think what he wanted to do is he wanted to change up his style of music a little bit, and he did do that because he lost me. There's no need me, there's no need me lying. I'm like, all right, Luther, I don't know what direction you're going in, and some of you guys probably, after I said it, you can kind of tell, like, yeah, he did switch up just a little bit, not enough to alienate his true core fans, right? His core fans. He didn't, you know, lose those, but you could tell stylistically from a production end, not from a vocal end, because from vocally, you know, he was definitely who he was. He definitely had a standard for his vocals. He definitely had a standard of for production, but he changed the production up a little bit. And you know, we might talk about that a little bit over here as well. But as I said, if I'm not mistaken, Luther Vandross did not win. He's heavily nominated for, you know, Grammys. Of course he is. You know, he was definitely, but he had not had a Grammy, if I'm not mistaken, until he decided that he was going to um, until after Any Love. Okay, that's when, you know, he got the Grammy with Here and Now, so on and so forth. And as you can tell, listening to the song Here and Now, he kind of switched it up a little bit. The Power of Love, he switched it up a little bit, so on and so forth. He still did not win another Grammy until 1997. But again, it is what it is. He changed it up. If I'm not mistaken, he eventually went over to Arista Records. I'm trying to recall exactly when did he go to Arista Records. He went, I know it wasn't 1991. He was still with Epic Records, of course, for Power of Love. I do recall that. But he eventually goes on to, well, not Arista Records. Let me change that. Yeah, because now that I think about it, Arista Records and J Records, Arista Records, Clive Davis was kind of pushed out from my understanding. I must say alleged because it is what it is over here. Uh, so I must say alleged, but according to news reports back in the day, I remember that the board at Arista, yes, Arista. It's not Arista. It's Arista. Yeah, over at Arista Records, the board forced Clive Davis into retirement. And as a result, he branched off and started J Records. And I was, wondering what was going to happen with Whitney Houston. Was he going to take Whitney Houston? But for whatever reason, Whitney Houston stayed over at Arista. But anyway, Clive Davis and Luther Vandross eventually, worked together, and he released some albums over there on J Records. I think, as a matter of fact, he only released maybe 2 records over there, right? He released Luther Vandross and then Dance with My Father. So he did not stay at Arista long because it's what it was. And then of course he released I Know on Virgin Records. And he was only over there for 1 album. Now, from my understanding, and I could be wrong, and I know we're talking about this album, but of course, these are some things that just coming to me kind of randomly as I'm talking. One thing leads into another. Also, if I'm not mistaken, I always wondered why he has such a long career with Epic Records, being that he had a lot of success with them. But from my understanding is that Luther Vandross was actually courted by other record companies, but they were not, they didn't, from my understanding, it had a lot to do with his publishing rights. Luther Vandross owned them. At the time, I know what you're going to say in this day and age. Oh, now anybody can own their publishing and their masters and all that stuff. Well, let me tell you something. It wasn't happening like that back in the day, in Luther Vandross's day. So, if I'm not mistaken, that was a big deal for him as far as his ownership of his publishing, so on and so forth. So, I think that that's the thing that hindered him from being, at other record companies. But I cannot tell you what the status was with um his contract with what's her name? I mean, with Virgin Records or with J Records. I can't tell you that. I can't at all. I'm not quite sure. So we're going to leave it at that. All right, moving right along. The Night I Fell in Love, the 15-minute mark. I think it's a good time to go ahead on and talk about The Night I Fell in Love. And if you have stuck around with me all the way through here, then I say thank you for hanging out with me. I know that you must really be a good fan of Luther Vandross and really like my content on my platform as well. So thank you guys. So what is it about Luther Vandross in this album? I just love the album. I do. I love the album. Uh, this is an album I can play from beginning to end. I do all of it. Um, there's a certain jazz feel that I like about Luther Vandross's music as well. In this time frame, and I think that has a lot to do with him working with, of course, is it Marcus Miller and Nat Adderley Jr., right? So I think that has a lot to do with his style, that Marcus Miller and Nat Adderley Jr. And so that's what I like about Luther Vandross. Is something about that jazz feel that these two producers and writers with Luther Vandross they give. And I think for me, this is just me, they perfected it on this album. This album is perfect. I mean, whatever they did, whatever they was trying to accomplish, I think that they really brought a good um, uh, body of music together. Good, they really packaged a good album with this one. Of course, Marcus Miller co-producing it with, or let's just say producing it with Luther Vandross, and then you have Nat Adderley Jr., who also wrote on this album. And my favorite cut on this album is Wait for Love. Yeah, that's my favorite one on this album is Wait for Love. I love it. I love those background vocals on Wait for Love. Which now I think you can go into what I like too about this album is that I love the way in which Luther Vandross writes. Like to me, it's poetic. It's poetic in a sense that I can actually, yeah, it actually happened just like this. Ooh, see, I like how things flows over here. It actually happened just like this. The stars were shining brighter than most of the time. And love came in out of nowhere. Something about that to me is just so poetic. I can I can hear, see it, smell it, taste it, touch it. Luther Vandross just has his way with writing a song. Like everything about him, and a lot of people have a lot of things to say about him personally, because he definitely had his riff tiffs with people, but um there's just something about his delivery. I was about to say Letha Vandross, meaning I was trying to say Lisa Fisher. Lisa Fisher has described his style as being meticulous. He's very meticulous. And that's what it is. He just knows what he wants. I mean, to me, very classy, very classy. And captivating. But let me get focused over here because I feel like I'm about to go on and on and on and on, and I just want to get focused for a little bit. So hold on, let me get a little bit situated here. Take a deep breath. Let's focus. All right. Whew. Yes. So his songwriting style, you can say it's simple. To me, I say it's poetic. But it also you can, as I say, hear, see it, smell it, taste it, touch it. Everything is meaningful. So I get the feeling that it's kind of like with Luther. He's meticulous about, let's say, his songwriting style, right? So okay, I done told the story. This is okay. The lyrics, everything is perfect. This is what I want to say. I want to say this. I do. The words are right. I want to say this. And then I get the feel that Luther Vandross could possibly be the kind of singer. He says, now that I have what I want to say, now how do I want to sing it? You see what I'm saying? How do I want to sing it? Meaning, each word, I can get the feel that maybe it's kind of like each word, he knows how he wants to tell it. Do you see what I'm saying? And when you're working with someone like a Luther Vandross, when you're working with someone like Marcus Miller, Nat Adderley Jr., when you're working with singers like Tawatha Ag, Lisa Fisher, Cissy Houston, Alpha, who is it? Anderson, Fonzie. When you're working with all those people, um, um, oh gosh, the list goes on and on because I mean he's worked with a lot of people over there on his camp. Paulette McWilliams. Oh my gosh, Darlene Love. When you have those people, right, and you know that they can deliver the goods, and you know they take instruction well. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like you're in school, baby. That's where it is. You're in school and you're around people. You're around people who know what they're doing, and then at the same time they know how to take instruction. Right? Yeah. I mean, that says a lot because to me that's what you get on this album. I think that this is the quintessential Luther Vandross album. All right, and let's not forget too, as far as this album is concerned, according to reports, this album, "The Night I Fell in Love," that reached number 19 on the U.S. Billboard 200 album chart, and was number one on the top R&B hip hop albums chart, was ranked 93 on Rolling Stones magazine's list of 100 best albums of the 1980s. Do you understand what I'm saying here? It was ranked 93 on Rolling Stone magazine's list of 100 best albums of the 1980s, not in 1980s, of the 1980s. So I know when I say this is my favorite album by him, I know that I am not, just pulling the rabbit out the hat type of thing, you know. Rolling Stone said this is of the 80s. And it doesn't matter to me if it was ranked 93 or 100 on the list of 100 best albums. You know, this album earned that, baby. You understand what I'm saying to you? Yeah. And some highlights, of course, on this album would definitely be no other than Billy Preston. Like that organ, Till My Baby Comes Home. That organ to me, and most people will probably say you're exaggerating, but I'm not, because we have our picks, right? We have the ones who we want to sit, on the way side, way, way, way back in the corner. Then we have those who we just want to sit down and tell what to do and how to get up. And then we have our picks of the ones we just want to just, prop up and so on and so forth. So someone will probably say, you mean to tell me you are about to compare Slash's guitar riffs on Michael Jackson's Bad to Billy Preston's organ on Till My Baby Come Home? You better believe I am. I'm doing that over here. Yes, I am. Billy Preston played the heck out that organ. And one thing that I like most about, sometimes when I hear organ, it's some of them are cluttered to me. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that it sounds good, everything is great about them, but it's like there's a sound that's kind of cluttered. But with this one, it wasn't. They must have cleaned this one up a little bit. I'm not familiar with the different kinds of organs, but like Billy played that one. Billy played on that one. Okay. So yes, that's the highlight. Another highlight would definitely be for me. Now these are my highlights. I love the song "Creeping," and when I found out it was a Stevie Wonder song back in the day, I was like, "What? This is Stevie Wonder?" And I have to admit, I'm wondering, like, is Stevie singing this just like Luther? But anyway, I love the end of the song when they're singing "Creep," the background vocals, when they're singing, vocalists singing "Creep," and they go "Creep, creep," and then "Creep, creep, creep, creep." I just love it. I love it. Sorry about that, y'all. But still, I love it's like that's my favorite part of this song. I'm like, all right, y'all ready? Two times. Sing it for me full time. I love it. Oh gosh, I love it. And of course, Wait for Love. Wait for Love honestly tells my story. I love it. That those words. Knowing love the way I do, I can say for certain that it's true. Knowing love the way I do, I can say for certain that it's true. That love. Oh, I can't remember the lyrics. I can't remember the lyrics, and I think I can't remember the lyrics because I'm trying to, do this and think about the lyrics at the same time. Knowing love the way I do, I can say for certain that it's true. There's a chance for me and you. I surely feel like the time is near. The picture in my heart is very clear. I think love has brought us here. I remember not too long ago, I was just a lonely person with a lonely heart, and I was hoping there could one day be a chance for you and for me to get the love I've been missing. Oh my gosh. Come on now. Come on now. As I said, something so simple yet poetic about this man. You know what I'm saying? And now we can veer off just a little bit and talk about him personally, as far as his personal life, as far as everyone has all have stated, love, the love department he came up short in, right? you know and he definitely sung about that being disappointing to him. But I got news for you. He's not the only one out there, right? No matter how many lovers you may have had or have, you know, At the end of the day, everybody, has had their struggles with, the chance of love. You're going to get the chance to love. Wait for love, wait for love. And if you found it, then congratulations to you. But he talked about that and what he was missing, right? So I love the song Wait for Love. Just a wonderful song. Well, like I said, well written. Yeah. And then you go, of course, to songs like My Sensitivity, which was definitely a good upbeat, just a real good feel good song, a upbeat song. And then of course you go back to the other side of the world. He like I said, he had an approach with his music, and he can, you know, give you that upbeat song, it's over now, and then come back to the other side of the world. And it's kind of like you're on the dance floor now, you're kind of feeling a little bit, I don't know, melancholy, maybe, sad, lonely. Yeah. Yeah, this album is pure genius. And then if I go back to, the song Creeping just a little bit, because it brings up something else that we all know Luther Vandross has been able to do. And what is that? Make a song his own. And not a lot of people can do that. See, Luther Vandross is a different kind of singer. He's a different kind of singer. And I'm going to say it this way. Luther Vandross is so good at what he does, so smooth and so clever. He's such a genius as what he does, is that he can take a song that you already like. Think about it. Luther Vandross can take a song you already like, and then he can make you like it even more. That's hard to do. It's hard to do for most artists, right? Because some of these songs in Luther Vandross's catalog, some of us didn't know that they were songs by other artists, right? You didn't know that. You was like, that's a who? That's a Brenda Russell song? That's Stevie Wonder? That's Dionne Warwick? And this is not an album that I, had planned on talking about over here, but the songs album. The songs album, that album. I mean, when you listen to that album, right? Songs, you listen to that album, you go like, oh my gosh, no, he did not. No, he did not. No, he did not. He did not do what he just did. No, he didn't. How can you make me like this song again? And even better than I liked it. And I think it has a lot to do with, like I said, Luther Vandross. I think I said this a lot about singers over here. I just did a video on Lala. And I said with Lala, the thing that I feel like came short with Lala, such a brilliant singer and songwriter, but yet she got lost because no one knew. The producer she had did not understand her vocal delivery, right? They didn't understand her vocal style, her style of singing. And when you're giving great material, and the material she had was good material, but it's not a great production, they're not understanding her voice and how to bring it out of her. Sometimes you can get lost in the sauce. Same thing I said about Phyllis Hyman when I was over here. I mentioned Phyllis Hyman. I was like, you know what? Yeah, Phyllis Hyman has all of these aesthetics going on for her, and all of them are appealing on top of her voice. But if you didn't touch that, because all of that was natural, don't touch it. Just find material that suits it, that aligns with it, and let everybody else see the real thing. See, sometimes when you're too real, you can't touch it. It's not meant to be touched. You see what I'm saying? It's not meant to be a gimmick. When you got it, you got it. And sometimes you got to find your way. Some people have to find their way to do it, trial and error. But I think when I go back to Luther Vandross with the song Everybody Rejoice, if you listen to that song right now and the way in which it's produced in the lyrics to it, being that you are a fan of Luther Vandross, a fan of his, you can listen to that song and say, "Oh yeah, that's definitely a Luther Vandross song." You can hear Luther Vandross singing that song. I don't know who's singing it, but I can say right now, if Luther Vandross wanted to take that song and put it on his album, you'll go like, "Man, he'll make you like Everybody Rejoice all over again." You see what I'm saying? He'll make you like it all over again. It's like, come on, Luther Vandross he's just a bad brother that way. So to take a song that you liked, and he makes you like it even more. And then when you hear it, you're like, wait a minute, but and here's the thing. Here's the thing. He can take a song you like, make you like it even more, record it better than the original version, and he will make you the way he presented the material and he understood it. Guess what Luther Vandross will make you do? He will make you go back and appreciate the original and how it was composed. Man, I'm done. I can stop right there. I can stop right there. Oh, I can stop right there. Music appreciation, baby. That's what it is. I can stop right there. I don't have to say anything else about this man. If he was here living today, right now, and I said it just like that, I'm not sure how he would take it. Me saying just what I said, but I know that he would be flattered, among other things, and go like, wow, this says a lot. It does. It says a lot about this man. I'm done with it. I think on that note, I can end. Yes, I can. The night I fell in love. Oh my, I love it. My favorite album of all time. Yes, I do have the album. I do. Oh my. Oh my. Well, if you came this far in my commentary and you stuck around with me, I think it's only appropriate for me to say, hey, hit the like button, the subscribe button, the share button, all of that. Yeah, hang out with me. Show good manners. It's only good manners, for me to be in among your subscribers, your other subscribers. I'm sure you have other content you have subscribed to. And I got news for you. If you're watching and you don't have a YouTube channel, then get yourself a YouTube channel so you can subscribe to my channel. I definitely, appreciate your support. Over here, my motto is simple. It's very simple. Put your behind where your heart desires to be. And whenever I leave my mother's presence, she always says to me, she says, baby, remember I love you, but God loves you best. Oh my, how I'm looking forward to seeing you next video. And until then, you should know what you should do by now. Take care of yourselves. All right. See ya.